This crash. I'm joined now by Lieutenant Commander Jack Stewart from the U.S. state of Louisiana. He's a former Top Gun fighter pilot and aviation expert. Let me just start with this video, very dramatic. What went through your mind when you watched it?
You know, I think what went through my mind was pretty much what everyone else thought was, wow, I couldn't imagine driving down the road and seeing something like that. You know, obviously my hearts go out to the people who were on that airplane, families that are still looking for their loved ones. And as a pilot, you know, obviously I immediately started analyzing what went wrong and what could have happened in that situation.
Okay, so as a pilot, take us into the cockpit. What do you think went wrong? And as a pilot, how much time do you have to correct something if you are having issues?
Well, obviously, the critical phases of flight defined by the FAA for us is anything below 10,000 feet. That's where we have a sanitized cockpit. Your only focus is on flying the aircraft safely. So from takeoff to 10,000 feet and then actually coming down to land at the same time, that's when you want to pay the most attention because you're close to the ground, have a lot of time. Based on that video, it appears to me that that airplane had just taken off. From what I understand, he'd just taken off. And if he lost an engine, which is what it sounds like, at least initial reports, you don't have a whole lot of time to respond. And we're talking mere seconds, which is one of the reasons why the FAA focuses so heavily on that type of scenario in our training as commercial pilots.
And you say mere seconds. I think what comes across as remarkable when you look at that video is how close. I mean, you see all of these buildings everywhere. Tony Chang mentioning it as well. It's pretty remarkable that the pilot was able to navigate it in such a way and try and ditch it into the water, isn't it?
You know, it really is. And if that's what, in fact, happened, and I'm sure we'll get more information once the information from the black boxes becomes analyzed and made available, we'll know really what the pilot was doing in those few seconds. But you know, he was doing everything he could to avoid the buildings, avoid the bridge, and get it in the water, you know, much like the miracle on the Hudson. But, you know, obviously we can't really know what actually happened until we get all the data.
Jack, what's interesting is you bring up the black boxes. In many of these investigations, that's all you have to go on. But we do have survivors. Piecing this together, does that make it easier?
Absolutely. And you know, just the video that's come out that we've seen so far, I mean, that gives you some clue that at least accident investigators, you know, should be able to decipher really what happened. You know, and obviously, you know, I'm only looking at the video. I don't have the information from the black boxes. You know, I wasn't on board, but, you know, it looks to me like the airplane, you know, was having some serious control issues there at the last seconds, which could be indicative of some, you know, an engine loss, which causes adverse yaw, a roll into the failed engine, that type of thing.
Jack, can I just ask you one more question? Have you ever remembered a more active period? I mean, we see two disasters with this airline, two with Malaysia Airlines. It's been a very, very active period. Anything to be read into that?
You know, I don't think so. One of the interesting things is that the Asia-Pacific region is growing in general aviation dramatically. So what we're seeing now is basically, you know, a period where they are seeing more passengers flying, more airplanes are flying, and they're really having a shortage in pilots right now. Really, we are in one of the safest times in aviation. Last year alone, we had basically one fatal accident for every 2.3 million flights, and that's compared to one every 1.9 million in 2013. So we are actually in a very safe time for aviation.
Jack, one final question. This investigation, how long do you think it'll take before we know exactly what happened?
Boy, it could be a matter of weeks because we have the debris right there. We have the black boxes. We have all this evidence, but if they do their due diligence, this could take months before we really know what happened and it's released.
All right, Jack Stewart joining us from Louisiana. Thanks so much.